like by all accounts of the word tag, I think you're meant to be tagged by somebody else when you do a video that is a tag, but no one tagged me and I wanted to give my opinions anyway. I didn't look too closely on the actual like different tag things that you're meant to do, but it's A to Z. So it's just something to be said about each letter of the alphabet about books. I saw a couple different people do this and I just thought it was fun. I wanted to give my opinions. So the first one I've got is audiobooks. Well, that's the first thing that was on the tag, and hot, like definitely audiobooks are hot because I have been using them like more frequently this year. So this was the first year that I properly started listening to audiobooks more than I had ever before. Before I'd mainly listened to them for like classics because I found them like a little bit harder to make sure that I sat down, understood and read them properly. So I would read them whilst I was listening to the audiobook, whereas now I mainly use audiobooks like kind of in the background if I'm doing something, I'm doing an errand. It's like something I prefer to do. I like really used to listen to podcasts, now I listen to audiobooks. I think it's made me a bit more of a passive reader than I perhaps would like, but that's personally like a me problem. Obviously like audiobooks were made to like cater to people with disabilities, and then it just became like a widespread thing that other people could obviously listen to them as well. So I just feel like being a more passive reader is definitely my fault rather than anything else. So the next one is, I literally don't know how to say this, but it's Bill Dunsroman. I read That Idiot sort of earlier this year and I could not for the life of me say it in that video. I think I read it for my Greta Gerwig video and I just could not say it. It's very clearly like designated as one of those, that book, and I cannot say it. I'm just gonna call it a coming of age story because that's essentially what Bill Dunsroman is, but I don't know how to say it. I like them. I think they can be a little slow in pacing and tone, especially like The Idiot was like that. I like them, but I prefer them to be a little bit more light-hearted. So I feel like it's a little depressing otherwise. I'd rather just not have it be a coming of age story and be depressing. I'd rather it just be like contemporary literature or like a dramatic book, like a romance novel or something like that. For C, it's children's books. I've been reading a lot of children's books this year, like a lot of children's graphic novels, which is something that I don't tend to do. This is the first year in a very long time that I've been like doing that. I started the year by finishing off the Narnia books, and I think like that really set a precedent for the fact that I was reading a lot of children's fiction this year. Like I read some for my Miyazaki video that I've not made yet, but I read them like ages ago and then I put that video off. Ever since I started following Alison Pages on YouTube, she reads a lot of children's books and I feel like she recommends a lot of graphic novels that are written for children. So I think I've just picked some of them up and I've read a lot this year and I do like them. I think they can be really like cheerful and cute and sweet and they can be quick. If you're like in your slump because of another book, I feel like if you read a children's book, it can just put you back on track because it's short and it feels like you've accomplished something and you've like learned something, because obviously most children's books have morals in them. The fourth one is D, and that is digital. I read most of my books on ebook form, so I am a big digital girl. I read most of my stuff on Google Books because I used to have an Android and that was where I used to get all of my books. I don't have an Android anymore, but I still use Google Books because that's what all my books are, so I didn't want to get like two different libraries. So I do love an ebook. I love a physical book too, but I feel like a physical book is like cumbersome when you want to read just like on the go, because I don't want to have to bring a book around with me if I'm like walking around places. It can get heavy and my friends love going for walks after we like go to a restaurant or something, and I'm just like, I don't want to carry it around, even though I know that I would like read the book on the train to the place or just like waiting somewhere for my friends, but I just don't want to because I really am very lazy when it comes to carrying things around. E is experimental. I'm not sure if I love a good experimental novel. I feel like sometimes they are not pretentious. I feel like saying things pretentious is very anti-intellectual these days. So I don't want to say that I don't like them because they're pretentious, but I just feel like sometimes if it's not very well structured and it doesn't have like a strong sense of narrative, I just don't feel like it's interesting enough to keep reading. But I am kind of excited to read the 5th season, which is apparently in second person, which I don't think I've ever read it in second person aside from like Your Name fanfiction when I was like 14. Kind of not. I don't gravitate towards any experimental stuff. Like I don't want to read that stuff. The F is for fantasy. So fantasy is hot. Like off the bat, obviously very hot. I love fantasy. It's my favorite genre. I don't read that much of it just because it's such a time commitment, and Like reading the first one and then not liking it and then getting to the, like, it's just so annoying. It's actually such a piss take when you're like, oh, I've put all my time into this and then I didn't like it. But that's just how reading is. You just gotta move on. So definitely hot. G is for graphic novels. Hot, obviously, I've already said I've read a lot this year. I've read a lot of really good ones as well. So very excited to read more. I read a lot of comics as well, which are like in compendiums, which is like when they're all like bound together. So I read the Oblivion Song Compendium, which was really good. A lot of Uzumaki, which was also really cool. Talking about that, we got to horror H. Not, honestly, I liked Junji Ito's work. I just don't think I like horror as like a novel though. Like I like it as a graphic novel because the visual aspect really adds to the horror of everything. I will put some pictures up from Uzumaki, but like you will understand what I mean, but like how good the visual aspect is compared to when you read a horror novel and you're like, this isn't scary, this isn't even interesting. Like I would prefer if it was just thriller. Do you know what I mean? I is for inspirational. That is not for me. I don't like, just no, I don't like inspirational stuff. I don't read self-help ever. It's something that I just don't like. I would much rather read like an article or watch a video that was inspirational, that would get me on my like toes. I also find other work, like other people's work, much more inspirational than like reading something that's like, you should be inspired and you need to get up out there and like wake up and do your stuff. Like one of the most inspirational things I've ever seen is the CJ the X video where they're talking about how you should just create art. Like you need to create art. Like it doesn't matter whether or not like you think it's gonna be bad, like just do it anyway. That's way more inspirational than anything else. So no. Kitsch for K. Kitsch, which means it has popular or sentimental appeal. I don't know, like, what does that mean? I guess, like, if you talk about, like, the Hunger Games, I really like that, so I'm, like, writing with that, but at the same time, I don't always like it when people have this take where they will actually really like a romance novel, but they'll be like, I know it's bad, say you like it with your chest, please. I don't like that aspect of it. It's like sometimes when you have a popular novel and people are like, oh, you know, I just wanted to be on the trend. So sometimes I just hate them because I'm like, maybe I just hate the people who read these though, because they really annoy me because they can never like take responsibility of like what they're reading. If you like it, you can like it. It's okay. My L for library, I was a librarian for like 6 months, so definitely I love libraries. Use your library. If you're watching this and you don't use your library, use your library. Not even just use your library. Use the digital access that your library gives you. This can be things like Libby, this can be things like BorrowBox, this can be like audiobooks that you can get online, and also like if you live in several different places or like your parents live in a place and then you live in a different place and then you've moved, use every single library card. Like if you can register a library card wherever you are currently, do it, and then register yourself somewhere else as well, so you can get as much access to books as you possibly can. Because I live in London and that's great, but you can only really look at a certain level of area. It won't take you outside of like the home counties and then London, and if you put yourself in like several areas, they will just like, they will send it to you if you want it. Library insider hacks. M for mystery. I don't read a lot of mystery at all. I don't even know what the last mystery I read was. I watch a lot of mystery, but I don't really read a lot of mystery at all, so I probably want to. I've been thinking about reading some Agatha Christie next year because I don't read any mystery, and I feel like when it comes to just writing anything, I think you should know how to do reveals. I watched some K-dramas this year that had a mystery sort of plot line, and I just feel like they're quite badly written just because of the way that they're disjointed, and I think I should read more mystery just to be able to understand and look at reveals in a more interesting way, especially because like I wouldn't write fantasy if I write anything, but that still needs mystery to it. Like you still need to be able to do reveals and shocking turns, but that obviously you can find in any, you know, genre, but mystery is made for that. So I think I should read more of that to understand how to compute things for like other things that I watch and read, but also to know how to formulate that into something I also want to write myself. So not, but like has the possibility of becoming hot. N is non-fiction. I think non-fiction is hot, but I just don't read enough of it. I'm gonna read so much theoretical literature next year. It's gonna blow my fucking mind, okay? I need to get there because it's pissing me off how much I don't read theory. Next thing is omnibus. Why is that its own category? Okay, I guess yes. I literally said that I've read the Oblivion Song Compendium, and I guess that's what an omnibus is. So yes, I do. Yeah, hot, kind of. I don't know. Have I read that many omnibuses? Oh, yes, I read the Daredevil omnibus, right? So yeah, hot. P, poetry. Poetry is hot, obviously. I don't want to... I feel like I've spoken about poetry so much in the last couple of videos, but yes, definitely hot. Q is for quests. Yeah? Hot. Quest. Well, like Percy Jackson, new series coming out soon. I am very excited. So yes, quest. Love quest. Sometimes it can be a little boring though. Like I think sometimes the quest has to be a good thing and they have to be going on the quest with interesting people. And you know what I don't like? When they all break up after the quest. Stay together, be friends. What the fuck is this? R for romance. Okay, I don't mind a romance, so hot, but rom-coms, just, you know, shade for rom-coms, not hot, but romance, hot. Science fiction, S. I do like science fiction, hot, but also sometimes it's not always what I want to be reading, but again, can be hot. Like it's a little bit more hit or miss for me than fantasy is, but still hot. I will give them their dues, but I do think I need to read a bit more science fiction next year because I feel like I've been heavily skewed more towards fantasy than science fiction, even though I like both. Like I consider them both very similar because they do have this whole new world element to them, so hot. T for translation, yes, so hot, like probably the hottest out of it because I get to read cooler ideas just because like you get to see other people's cultures, right? Like American and British culture, which is what I am, is just like homogenized, like you understand it regardless of what you're doing, whereas with things like translation you can like understand things from like so many different countries, even ones that you think you understand. Like I read some like German books this year and it was just like a children's book, but I was like, that is so interesting that you learn that about German culture just by reading translated books. Like, that is so cool. Übermensch, the Superman or the extraordinary human. Characters who can everything. Übermensch. Sometimes they're cool, but sometimes they're not. You know who I think was a really cool Übermensch? Kelsier from Mistborn. That was a sick Übermensch. So hot. Like I was in love with Kelsier. But other than that, I don't know. I actually no, you know what, I like it. I like Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. I've not read that though, so I think I sometimes like an Übermensch. I think I like when a writer can very powerfully write a way for the Übermensch to be taken down. Like how does an all-powerful character feel powerless? And if they do that well, it can be really good, but then it can be really bad if they do it badly. So it's really up to the writer, but sometimes it can be really sick. V for Victorian. I don't really read a lot. I don't like Dickens. I did say I was gonna read Wuthering Heights this month. I started it, but I can't really get through it. It's taking me a while, so maybe not. Like I like Regency era stuff, but like Victorian, maybe that's not for me. Like I didn't like Dracula either, so perhaps it's not for me. Western, no, I've not read a Western ever, like in my life. I don't even think I've watched a Western. Like I don't like Western. Saying that, I've not seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet. I think that's a Western, so I will eventually get around to watching that when it comes onto streaming because I did not get to watch that when it came to cinemas. X-rated. I don't mind smart, but I prefer... It just went straight to smart. I guess X-rated also means like killing and stuff. What was the last thing I read where it was like really gory and like gruesome? Tommy? I guess Tommy was kind of gruesome. They were like axing her up, like her body, they were like cutting her up and stuff. So I guess that's kind of gruesome, but I don't know. I guess let's take X-rated for smart then. So I guess in that case, I do, but I don't really read books. I don't read erotica. Like I don't read anything with smart that's just like a romance as well. I would rather read fan fiction or something like that for X-rated. That's something sexual. I don't think books do it very well. Actually, I'm going to take this moment to go on a tangent. I think fanfictions do it better because I think it's really hard to make you really root for someone and then also be interested in them having sex a lot during a book. Like if a book is only like 100,000 words and you want them to have sex by the time it's like 20,000 words, they just keep having sex. Like you need to get the audience gripped on a story and the characters of that story by 20,000 words. And that's kind of hard to do, especially when you've never met these characters before. Whereas like in a fanfiction, you can do that. If it's like a fanfiction is 100,000 words, you can have your character have sex at 20,000 words because they already know each other. You already know the dynamics between every single character in your fanfiction. So it makes more sense. But in a book, you don't know these characters. These are new. So it makes less sense. So that is a big reason why I prefer fan fiction. Not to normal books, just when it comes to smart, by the way. Like, I don't prefer fan fictions to fiction. Like, I think people who do that, please, we need to go outside. Why for young adult? I think I've realised this year I don't really like reading my young adult anymore. I don't mind reading young adult that I read when I was a young adult. like, I don't mind going down like memory lane, nostalgia, love that. But I don't think I like it when it's just young adult that's coming out now. I'm definitely not the audience for it. Plus, I don't think young adult is written as well as it could be. And I have much more critical thinking now than I did when I was reading them as a young adult. So no, like not, heavily not. I think young adult needs more regulation, please. Okay, so I've moved my camera like a million times in this video because my camera keeps dying and I don't have like a separate battery, so it's just this battery. Last one is Zeitgeist. I really don't know, spirit or mood at the time. I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation like kind of a little bit right before it became a really big book, like sort of maybe like a year and a half before it really blew up. And I don't know if I was like, you know, when it became the Zeitgeist, I felt like I'd read something that represented the mood of the times, because I'm like, she was such a loser, and I don't know if that was coming across to people. So I feel like maybe Zeitgeist makes me angry, so not. I also like don't really like reading things that were in the Zeitgeist like in the past. Like I'm like, you guys have such bad taste. Like some things are just like poorly written, or they have like ideals that are really annoying to read and you're like, oh my god, you're just like biting your teeth, you're like, fuck's sake, like this is so racist. Zeitgeist, yes, just because like I read a lot of very like current upcoming books, so I am like tuned in, but I'm also like not always sure whether that's a good thing. Sometimes I feel like whatever is coming out and representing the time, I'm just like, are we all stupid? Are we all like the dumbest people on earth? So sometimes I'm just like not. So I'm gonna go with not overall. I don't know if that made sense for Zeitgeist, but I just feel really angry about some of the things that we get given. Some of it's just like slop, and that is not nice. And then sometimes it's just like trying to be very introspective, and then it's just like not very good at doing that because it's written by somebody who just like doesn't know how to introspect properly, because they don't actually have any grasp of the actual like material like world that they live in. So that's really annoying as well. So yeah, it's like, guys, just a little bit more of a contentious topic perhaps. Anyway, that is all of them. I did this for like a quick video, but it didn't end up being quick because my camera kept dying, and I feel like this video is so badly shot. Like I feel like it's really wonky, and then at sometimes it's not wonky, and then sometimes it's further away. We'll see how it edits. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is just like a fun quick thing that I did. I wasn't tagged, again, as I said at the beginning, but I was like, I want to do it anyway because why not? I want to have fun. It's not like anyone's making me do these videos anyway, so might as well make myself do things that I think would be fun. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked it, maybe give it a like, subscribe if you really liked the video, and comment if you thought that any of my opinions were really bad, because I want to hear some of these. Also, I don't think I said hot in a cool way. Like I watched this girl's video and she had the Valley accent that Paris Hilton does, and I was like, that is sick. But I just say hot or not, and that's not as cool as Paris Hilton's voice, even though Paris Hilton, she's an odd person in the Zeitgeist. But I'll leave you on that.